Hey everybody, I'm Chucky. This is Jason. We're in Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook for the sports bookmaking podcast, or I should say betting podcast, Bookends. Let's just dive right into it. Let's start with NBA. Warriors going to the NBA Finals again, Jay, for the fourth time in 6 years. Healthy this year, both Clay and Curry. Healthy, what a difference it makes. Closed out the Mavs last night. They're a really, really good team. We know they can score. When they're hitting those threes, it's unbelievable. Eastern Conference, Boston has a chance to close it out. But when you look at the playoffs this year, I think the one thing, and I know you touched on it last week, is that NBA, National Blowout Association, that all these games in the conference finals for both, and many of the playoff games going back to early May, have been blowouts. And I think you can kind of talk about that from the last time we saw a competitive game.
From a statistical standpoint, as we sit here on Friday, going into Memorial Day weekend, we've had 20 straight NBA games that don't involve a point spread to decide the winner. Either the dog wins outright or the favorite covers the point spread. And so that's an amazing run of 20 straight games. You have to go all the way back to May 9th. When Memphis lost by 3 at Golden State as a 9.5-point underdog, was the last game where we saw the point spread being involved. Right. So that kind of lends you to believe if you just like the team to win, right, you just bet them to win. Don't play the point spread. Don't take the points. Don't lay the points. I guess you can lay the points with the favorites because the point spread's not involved. So if you like the favorite, lay the points for them to win. If you like the dog, take them on the money line outright because the point spreads haven't come into play here for 20 straight games.
I think everyone's been asking. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit. What do you attribute that to? And I think it is the three. It's that when teams are really hitting their threes and they're making those and they have like a trip of 5 or 6 in a row and the other team's not, you get that big gap. They just can't catch up. And I've always said the NBA was, everybody makes a run. We just haven't seen it this postseason.
Well, we've seen lots of runs. We've seen lots of runs of,
but not a team from behind.
25-point quarters, that just opened a game up. We obviously saw Dallas have a huge lead in a game and then blow it to the Warriors. We've seen Miami have big leads and blow them to Boston. So it's just been, you said it, the three-point line I think is changing the game, and we see these teams have big runs to open up big leads, and normally they're holding on to them, and occasionally they're blowing them. But hopefully we can see a little bit better finals. I think the last 20 games have been somewhat frustrating from a fan standpoint to just watch these blowouts. And so if we can watch Boston potentially close Miami out as a big favorite here in their game, and we watch a coast-to-coast final with Golden State and Boston, should be entertaining and a lot of potential high-scoring defensive battle, high-scoring or defensive battles.
That's what I was going to say. You're really going to get a contrast in styles where Boston, if you look at the totals for Boston and Miami compared to the totals for Golden State and Dallas, quite a difference, sometimes close to 10 points or more. So I think you're going to see two different styles of play, and if they're hitting their threes, can Boston, if it's Boston, keep up with that? And they've got to hope to have some defensive games in there.
Well, and you've seen the road for Boston to go through Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami. They've faced some really good defenses. There's been a time where Milwaukee really tried to push them and play that offensive game. So Boston can play both styles, and obviously they have the superstars to be able to match wits with the Warriors.
Right. We can hear an animated crowd back here on a Friday afternoon to kick off Memorial Day, which is fun. But anyway, let's jump into the pucks now. And I mean, so exciting. We need to rewind and need to get John to show last week's bookends, because I said I was all in on Edmonton. They look possessed right now. McDavid reminds me, I know we talked about it back in the offices, of Michael Jordan before he won a championship. He was making everybody better. He's taking his game to the next level, and he's the best player in the world. But they're a team that lost the first game to Calgary, has won 4 straight, and they're just electric right now. I mean, they're fun to watch. They've trailed by multiple goals in multiple games and still won those games. They're an exciting team to watch.
I don't know how long it can continue. Normally when we talk about playoff hockey, you're not winning games 5-4 and 6-5 and putting up all these points. Draisaitl has been all world, all awesome. As much as McDavid's been, the captain of the team and putting up big goals, it's been Draisaitl. He actually set a hockey record with 15 assists in that series, which is strange because the series only went five games as well. To have 15 assists in 5 games, just absolutely awesome.
I think the quote is German engineering at its finest with Draisaitl.
The other guy, we don't like to mention his name because of the Knights' love of the Sharks, I guess. But Evander Kane's also been great, fantastic. And we'll see. Obviously, it looks like the Avalanche should be able to get through St. Louis as we're heading to a Game 6 in that series. Potentially, the Blues can Game 6 go back to Colorado. We'll see what happens there. But McDavid versus McKinnon. West
McCarr
Coast
and Draisaitl. You could have a lot of fun with that.
Could be fantastic there,
Right.
but I think that Edmonton's got to find a way to do a little bit better job in the net. I don't think we can have these high-scoring games if they want to continue to find themselves through the Western Conference.
Well, if it is Colorado, they played 3 times during the regular season. Colorado had a 2-1 advantage in those games. Only one went over. It was a 6-3 Colorado win. 2 of the games were 1-goal games that went under. So, but looking at these playoffs so far, extremely high scoring. I think there's more pressure, though, on Colorado. They let that one get away at home in Game 5. Now they go back to St. Louis, and with what happened with Bennington and Kadri, this is a rivalry now, and it's a nasty one. I mean, it's getting ugly both on and off the ice. It's a tough barn to play in. St. Louis won the Cup 3 years ago. If they can find a way to win in tonight's game, I think it really puts a lot of pressure on Colorado in Game 7, because we've talked about McDavid not winning anything yet, but really McKinnon hasn't yet either. To kind of be on that Mount Rushmore of today's players, both McKinnon and McDavid are there, but you want to have that Stanley Cup ring to go along with it.
Yeah, and just getting to the Western Conference Final for the Avalanche, they
Right.
found themselves in the favorites in most of these spots, and the last several years have been knocked off in this same situation. So we'll see. I think that series is going to be between the Blues and Avalanche. We might see a Game 7, and on the other side, the Tampa Bay Lightning.
They're just sitting at home.
Just waiting, and most
Right.
likely going to end up with Carolina the way we're looking at that series. But the Lightning, again, kind of just waited and
Right.
and walked themselves through the regular season to get to this spot, and they've looked absolutely fantastic, and obviously knocking off the Florida Panthers,
the President's Trophy winners. Yep.
No easy task, and
Right.
they made it look easy.
Yep, they're just kind of sitting at home right now. Looking at Carolina and the Rangers, I mean, that has been a homer series. Carolina's won every game at home. Rangers won the 2 games in the Garden. They play in Game 6 tonight in a game that, or tomorrow night. You have to see the Rangers. Can they force a Game 7 there and put some pressure on Carolina? Carolina's been the best defensive team all season. It's going to be interesting no matter how it works out in the East, because with Tampa and Vasilevsky, you're going to see totals probably around 5.5. And in the Western Conference, you're going to see totals probably 6.5 or 7 with Colorado, say, and Edmonton. So definitely a contrast in styles.
If we get Carolina, Tampa, I think that's one of we've been talking about who actually gets favored
Right.
In that series. Carolina has the home ice advantage, and they haven't lost at home in the Boston
Right.
series
Yep.
and now in this series. Now they haven't won on the road and they haven't lost at home. So with that home ice advantage, but I think that they'll be a short favorite in those games against Tampa, and then a bigger road favorite to where potentially to pick them, or even we see Tampa favored in that series.
Right, so it's been really interesting. I think the one thing, Jay had touched on who was going to win the major golf tournament.
Yeah, we got to stop giving out advice here.
I gave you Edmonton. I mean, we're going to have our score phone number, 1-800. No, we're just kidding, but it's fun to kind of touch on it too. I mean, in many cases, we might like somebody, but we might root against them just based on,
we got to remind ourselves, no more advice. We can't give out all these winners. Justin Thomas at 12-1, and you giving out Edmonton as a dog. We got to stop the advice tree.
It is a fun weekend, though. It's Memorial Day weekend. We know that everyone's going to be busy and they're barbecuing, hanging out by their pools. The weather's going to be great. So it's such a great time to get signed up for STN Sports. We love it when you guys come into all of our properties, hang out, eat, drink, have fun, wager, race sports. But get signed up for STN Sports. We still have up to that $100 bonus going on right now. For a $50 deposit, you get that cool Steven Money t-shirt. So when you're kind of hanging out at home and just enjoying everything, you can just pick up your phone and, hey, it's not about basketball, baseball, hockey. It's auto racing weekend, too. Indianapolis 500, Coca-Cola 500, and NASCAR. So a lot of cool stuff going on right now.
And we're really, again, pushing the envelope. We've got college baseball in their conference finals. We've got a lot of those games up as they will start the postseason run there. We've got women's college softball up on the board. UEFA Champions League final on Saturday. Again, Liverpool, Real Madrid. Going to be an incredible game there. Liverpool is a pretty heavy favorite, minus $1.70, I think, to lift the cup and
World Cup qualifying games
time.
Been booking as well. Yep. But getting back to what you said, you watch the College World Series games, the men's and the women's softball games. There's a lot of these games that are on TV. There's some really, really fun stuff to watch.
Let alone we got baseball going on.
Yep. I wasn't going to touch on. I was saving that for last, but yep.
We've got some kind of teams on some record pace and some
Right.
win percentages that if you're not betting baseball right now, get the app and start betting baseball, because it's been a rough.
I thought we were going to stop offering baseball.
Well, I'm just
on the app.
it's not. We're not giving you the advice. The advice
Right.
is just bet baseball, because it's been a rough start to the
Right.
summer here from a sports book standpoint. The winners have been easy to find. Going back, we'll kind of tell you why
Right.
the easier. So last year, at the end of the year, there were 3 baseball teams that
Right.
ended with over a 60% winning percentage.
Right.
The Giants 66, the Dodgers 65, and Tampa Bay had a 61% winning percentage. And on the bottom side of it, only 2 teams were below 35%. Baltimore 32% and Arizona 32%. This year, as we sit right now, we have 7 teams that are
crazy.
winning at a
Right.
60% or higher clip. And 2 of those teams, the Yankees are at 71% and the Dodgers are at a 68%. And then when you go to the bad side of it, we have 4 teams that are winning at a clip lower than 35% in Cincinnati, Washington, Kansas City, and
I
Detroit.
thought we weren't going to give people
So
advice.
but we have 11 teams
Right.
that are in the outliers versus last year we had 5 teams that were in the outliers. So you can see that just it's been easy to find those winners. And if you have obviously these teams that are at the top matched up against these teams
Right.
that are at the bottom, the matchups haven't been well. And again, we go into a series this week with Arizona and the Dodgers, and the Dodgers specifically, despite the fact that the Yankees have been winning at a 71% clip, the Dodgers winning at a 68% clip, but they're also doing so with major percentage
Right.
on the run
Run,
line.
yep.
They've scored 114 more runs than what they've allowed at this point.
They're
in
on
time
a
in the
record
season.
pace for that
Yeah,
right now.
I think the 1939 Yankees had a run differential of 401 runs. Biggest
Yankees are on pace for what, 420?
Dodgers are on pace
for
for
420.
420.
Yep.
So just totally outscoring their
Crazy.
opponents on a daily basis. I think last night they put up 24 hits on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So again, the Dodgers and Yankees, you've been cashing a lot of tickets, you've been betting them on a daily basis.
Right. I think we've seen from our side more 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, 18 parlays that are cashed. And this is May. We're not even in June yet. We usually see this kind of pre and post All-Star break right around that time in July, where the trade deadline is coming up, and you see kind of that gap between the good teams and the bad teams. You are seeing that gap now in May. It's only going to get probably broader, I think, as you get closer and closer to July and the trade deadline. But really surprised that from a competitive standpoint, you're seeing so many teams that are bad early on as well.
Yeah, we can only hope that those underdogs start to play a little bit better, maybe come back to earth a little bit. Specifically, the Yankees got a lot of guys out with COVID. Their pitching staff's been absolutely fantastic, but the lineup, actually, they pick up Matt Carpenter, who was
Right.
playing in AAA for the Rangers. They give him the release. The Yankees pick him up and put him right in as their DH because they've got so many guys banged up. So hopefully we can get it some.
Well, Yankees-Rays this weekend, which should be a really good, matchup as well.
The other team that's been really hot, specifically because they've got a player that's been really hot, is the Boston Red Sox.
Right.
They struggled out of the box, not getting a lot of wins. They've really started to put the wins together. And Trevor Story's
Right.
been absolutely all world. I think in his last 15 games, he's got 9 homers
But
and
after a really
27
cold
RBIs.
start,
Yeah. I mean, the whole Boston
Right, yeah.
lineup had a cold start, but Trevor Story just absolutely amazing this last 2 weeks.
Padres on the road, too. Padres are doing really good, kind of hanging with the Dodgers right there, but they've been phenomenal on the road as well. So it's a Memorial Day weekend. We want to wish, all you guys a happy, safe, fun Memorial Day. There's so many things out there, again, for sports, and really it is a great time to get the app.
Oh, I mean, we keep saying it every week
Right.
because there's just so much going on. The world of sports just isn't stopping. With
And
obviously,
we're adding to it every
yeah,
day.
you're gonna be in the NBA playoffs. We're gonna have the NHL finals, and we continue to push the envelope on the amount of props. I mean, go look at the UEFA championship for tomorrow. The amount of props on Salah goals and Benzema goals. I mean, the team has just really filled up the menu with different options on ways to bet these games.
Right. And as soon as we know who the 2 teams are in the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals, there'll be just a bevy of props up for both those 2 sports as well that we want to have a lot of fun with. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We love it when you guys come out and kind of hang out and chat with us and experience everything we have to offer. Again, hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm Chucky. This is Jason. We're in Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook. Thanks for tuning in to the Sports Betting Podcast Bookends, and we'll see you guys next week, and it'll be all about the NHL and NBA Finals.